Hi, I'm Colin Likas, and welcome to this week's edition of the Bulldog Blitz. After being a veteran ball club last season, the Butler softball team is in a big-time youth movement this year. 15 of the 22 players on the roster are either freshmen or sophomores. The Lady Bulldogs will begin the regular season at the Georgia Tech Kennesaw Invitational next weekend. Joining me today is junior outfielder Callie Dennison and Butler softball coach Scott Hall. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks for having us, Paul.
Absolutely. And Coach Hall, you guys start off on February 8th at the Invitational, as I said before. You have 5 games in 3 days. So how are you kind of preparing the team to switch from off-season action to in-game action with so many games at once?
Well, as you can tell by the tan, we haven't been outside a whole lot. It's difficult for an outdoor sport to get ready in January to play. We make the best of it. We've been outside, a handful of times, 2 or 3 times out on the football field, and make the best of it. But the kids are working hard. We're hitting a lot indoors in the cages and working in the tennis bubble, trying to get some defensive stuff done. So it will be an adjustment kind of on the fly. I remember 2 years ago when we went down to Mississippi State, first time we saw a blue sky above us taking a fly ball was game time. So it's going to be an adjustment on the fly, but we're used to it by now.
Sure. And Callie, obviously the team is pretty young this year. You got 7 upperclassmen after losing 7 seniors the previous year. So if at all, what kind of roles have you as upperclassmen had to take on, or what roles have changed this season?
Well, we have a lot of spots to be filled this year. Graduating a lot. We have a lot of new girls. A lot of the new girls have been stepping up, though, and there's a lot of girls just fighting for positions, and we know that the young girls know that they need to fight just as hard as the old girls, and us as upperclassmen have kind of been showing the young girls like how Butler softball is.
Sure. So what all have you guys been doing during the off season to improve and kind of mesh as a team and get ready for this stretch of games away from home?
We spend a lot of time together as a team, both in practices and workouts, and outside of that we eat together. A lot of girls have the same majors, and we've been conditioning a lot more this season and working really hard in the weight room and just trying to get better each day.
Sure. Now, Coach, you guys started last season with 4 games at Butler University, all against different teams.
Mm-hmm.
How do you determine where the team goes during the early season? Obviously, you have to take weather into consideration, but how do you determine which games and tournaments you guys go to?
Well, we try to kind of look at our roster, especially upperclassmen versus the new kids coming in. Last year with a veteran ball club, we thought we could go out to California and play a little tougher schedule.
Sure.
This year with such a young ball club, we're going to go back down to Florida and play in the Rebel games. We'll get about 9 games in down there against some teams that we should really compete with and come out of there with some good wins to prepare us for the A-10 conference. But obviously geography plays a role in it. We've got to find some place that's warm. All of us northern climate schools have to go south.
Sure.
There are a couple indoor places up here, but it's not worth looking into really. But budget's always an issue. We've got to look at what works within our budget. But for the most part, get good games in against competition that we're going to see during the season.
Absolutely. And staying with that competition, how much does the teams that you could be playing against, how much does that factor into your deciding where to take your team during the early season?
Not a whole lot really. You know, we kind of look at the tournaments that are out there, the teams that are playing in those tournaments, and it's flexible. Some teams get out late, get in late, you know, so that's always changing. But it's just a matter of where we're going to find some good competition, good weather that we necessarily haven't been to before.
Sure.
We like a little variety rather than going to the same place all the time, so it's neat for us.
Absolutely. Now, Callie, you guys will start off on February 8th, but then you'll be on the road until March 22nd. Obviously, you guys won't be on the road forever. You have to come back in classes and such. But, I mean, how does that affect your college life in regards to schoolwork and just social life and everything else outside of softball?
We use bus trips as study time. Like I said, a lot of the girls have the same major, which helps a lot. You can study together. You can bounce ideas off of each other. I had girls on the team correct papers of mine. So in a way, it's almost better because you have an 8-hour bus trip to do homework. And it makes the bus trips go faster too.
Sure. Now, what is it like you're basically taking on a different team every game early in the season. What is it like doing something like that versus playing multiple games in a weekend or in a weekday set against a conference team?
Well, we use these preseason before conference games to try to get better as a team, so that going into conference we know what we need to improve on, and so it's nice that we can take each game by game, and once that game's over, erase everything, get better for the next game, because these games technically don't really matter for our conference, so we use those games specifically just to get better.
Sure. Now, Coach, how do you prepare your team for the rigors of travel? Obviously, you have upperclassmen who have done this before, but you do have a young team this year. So how do you prepare the team for something like that?
I don't know if you can. It's funny when we talk about the first road trip, you know, all the upperclassmen are like, yay. The freshmen are going crazy because they've never really done anything. It's going to be exciting. You know, but we try and pass the time, watch movies, play cards. They do homework. Coaches try and sleep, or those of us that get car sick don't really have a whole lot of options other than take a lot of Dramamine. But, you know, just really telling the kids to work ahead in their classes, try and make the trips as less stressful on them being gone, because it is going to be an adjustment time for them. You know, so if we can lighten that load for them over the road trip and not stress them out about what has to be done when they get back and what they're missing, I think that's the best thing. And the best thing is talking to these guys, the upperclassmen. They've all done it. They can give them advice and some tips on how to handle that stuff. So.
Sure. Now, with 7 departed seniors from last season's team, there are quite a few spots, I imagine, that would have to be filled. How many spots are kind of already decided or filled, and how many spots are kind of still up for grabs amongst the team?
You know, we've got an idea of what our lineup is going to be, but there's still some play in some areas. Injuries are playing a role right now in what our lineup might be. But again, we haven't really gone outside yet to really see how the team is functioning as a group on a full field yet. So, you know, the first few weekends are just going to be that adjustment period of trying to lock some things down going into conference play. So some good battles out there, and again, it may depend on the team we're playing, the pitching we're facing, things like that. So hopefully we can make some adjustments.
Sure. Now, Callie, you've touched on this a little bit earlier, but what has it been like, the competition amongst the players for those spots with so many seniors departed from last season's team?
You can tell that everyone is working really hard to try to get on the field.
Sure.
The good thing with softball is you never know when you're going to be on the field, whether it's pinch running, pitch hitting, someone gets hurt. So there's a lot of times that girls can get in, and a lot of girls know that, so they're working extra hard in conditioning and weightlifting and in practice to try to prove themselves.
Sure. Now, looking ahead to the conference season a little bit, obviously, like most of Butler's teams, you guys have moved to the Atlantic 10 Conference. Coach, I'll start with you. How do you feel about the move, and what are you maybe looking forward to, or what kind of concerns you about the move and the teams you'll be facing now?
The softball really doesn't concern me. The travel does a little bit, some longer trips, some more time away, flying versus busing. So there's just going to be some challenges there that we've got to get used to. Sure. You know, the Horizon League had great softball, so I think that's prepared us for the A10. We're somewhat familiar with a few of the closer teams, with St. Louis and Dayton. We've played LaSalle before, you know, so it's just going to be a matter of getting some scouting reports as the season goes along. We don't really do a whole lot of scouting like other sports do with video and things like that. So, you know, if we just concentrate on what we do and do it as best we can, then you know, the games will play out the way they're going to play out.
Sure. Callie, did you have any other thoughts to add to that on the A10?
I'm really excited because I'd never go to the East Coast, and but it's kind of like we get a clean slate now. The Horizon League, they knew us, they knew our pitching, they knew our hitting, they knew our defense, but these teams don't really know us.
Sure.
And so we kind of just get to go in and prove to them that we're a team to look out for.
Sure. Now, what are your guys' goals going into A10 play this season, coming out of the Horizon League?
Our goals never change. We want to win the conference.
Sure.
You know, we've got a big road ahead of us. UMass has been the dominant powerhouse in that conference for years. Fordham's always good. So we know we've got some big schools that we've got to go up against. But, you know, if we stay healthy and keep getting better every day, I think that come the first pitch of those games, we're going to be ready to play.
Sure. And Callie, is there any team you're kind of looking forward to playing specifically in the A10 this year?
UMass. They've been top dogs in A10 for a while, and we're ready to play them.
Sure. Now you guys finished a little bit under 500 last season, but you did finish above 500 in the conference in the Horizon League. What do you guys have to do to improve on both of those marks going into this season?
Stay healthy. That really hit us hard last year in some key areas, and we're fighting through the same thing right now. Some key positions are working on getting back from some long lingering injuries, so hopefully we can get those kinks worked out. You know, it's just a new group, a whole different personality to the team. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see. We kind of knew how the team would respond last year with the veteran group. It's just going to take time to see how this group's going to compete, and when it gets down to it, how they're going to respond. So it's going to be fun. We're excited.
Sure. All right. Well, that's all we have time for today from the Blitz. I wanted to thank Coach Scott Hall and Callie Dennison for joining me. For the Bulldog Blitz, I'm Colin Likas.
Hi, I'm Scott Schmelzer, and this is segment 2 of this week's Bulldog Blitz. The Butler women's track team is in the middle of its indoor season. Today, I am joined by 2 standout sophomores on the team, Bria Brooker and Amy Wright. Thank you both for joining me. How are you guys today?
Good. How are you? Good.
All right, well, just going to ask you a few questions about the season. I know that you guys are running indoor right now, going to get into outdoor when it gets a little warmer out. But to start off, what events do you run, Amy?
I do the 400, 500, and 600. The 400 is the more standard, but in the indoor season they have some random races like the 500 and the 600.
And you, Bria?
And I do the pentathlon, and that consists of long jump, high jump, shot put, 800, 60 meter or dash hurdles. So, and then outdoor you add javelin and 200.
So how do you find differences between the indoor and the outdoor season for both of you?
Well, indoor I do the 400, but outdoor I do the 400 hurdles. So I prefer that because I really like to hurdle. So to me, I really like running outdoor a lot more, and it's also a bigger track. So in indoor it's a 200 track, and outdoor it's a 400 track. So I think that makes it a little bit easier to run.
And with field events and the pentathlon, how does that differ, indoor, outdoor?
Outdoor is definitely better. I love the outdoor environment. Indoor, it's kind of like claustrophobic. It's a lot of people in there, but it's still fun. But like she said, it's a 200 track. Outdoor, it's a 400 track. It's a lot more fun, a lot more competition, I feel like, outdoor. So I like outdoor a lot better.
Interesting. I'm sure a lot of our viewers don't know the difference in track size of indoor and outdoor. So just get right into it. I know that the track teams faced a few obstacles this season with either members quitting or deciding to do something differently. One of you, Amy, why don't you touch on how those obstacles changed your season personally? How does that change the dynamic with the team?
Well, I think especially also this season we got a new coach, so that hasn't been an obstacle per se, but it's definitely been different trying to just adjust and do different workouts. And it's definitely been harder because some of our older guys have been quitting, so I think it puts more pressure on the sophomores to really keep up the hard work and really be the leaders on the team now.
And you, Bria, how's that affected you personally?
I was really close with a lot of the older people that decided to quit. So it's just been kind of hard. They're the people that kind of brought you here. They recruited you here, and they're the ones that made you see what Butler is really about and made you love the team. So they kind of said they lost passion. That's one thing I want to not try to lose is passion, because you have to have passion to compete and work hard every day.
And since both of you've both run pretty consistently in the meets since your freshman year, how has your leadership role as a runner, Bria, how has that affected you as becoming a leader and more of a vocal leader, or just, a leader by action on the track?
Right. I definitely think we're all leaders in our own way. You just kind of like lead by maybe not necessarily leading the pack, but being encouraging, always supporting your teammates, giving 110% effort every practice. And track's kind of an individual sport as well as a team sport. So you kind of have to do what you have to do individually, and that shows leadership, but also by supporting your team and putting in a team effort.
And Amy, have you had to step up?
I think exactly what Bria has said, especially just in the workouts, when those older people aren't there to push you, you have to be the ones that start pushing now, and you have to be the ones showing the younger girls to work hard in every situation, because sometimes it gets hard, and it's hard doing like 400 repeats, but you have to keep working hard, and it's a lot more pressure on the sophomores to put up that hard work.
How is the makeup of your team right now? Young to old? Are you guys mainly a pretty youthful team right now?
Yeah, we're definitely rebuilding. We're definitely in that process of rebuilding. We're recruiting a lot. I think we're definitely going to start looking towards recruiting more guy sprinters. We have a lot of girls right now. Everybody's pretty dedicated on the girls' side.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're definitely going to start recruiting more guys, and hopefully everyone continues to stay in track and will be necessarily an older team next year.
So you guys both had a year in the Horizon League,
Right.
and now how do you guys see the transition to the Atlantic 10 affecting you guys as a team, affecting your individual results? How do you see moving to the Atlantic 10 affecting that, Amy?
Well, it's not that much different for track because we only really see like our league at the league meet, which is only once per season. So it hasn't really been that much of a difference for us yet, but we have the league conference meet coming up in a couple weeks, and that's where we're really going to face a lot faster people, and it's farther away. It's in Rhode Island now, so it's just going to be a lot bigger of a meet. I think there'll be more of a crowd. The Horizon League didn't get that much publicity, and the Atlantic 10 definitely has a lot more teams, a lot more people involved, so it's just a little bit of a bigger deal.
So, Bria, are you guys excited about Atlantic 10 meets as opposed to Horizon meets, or does it not really affect the way that you would go into a meet preparation-wise?
I definitely don't think it will affect because we're competitive as a team anyway. So we always go to the IUs, competing against the Ohio States and the Big Ten schools. So it's kind of like we're already used to that competition, and we're a competitive team. I love having competition at hand. So I think it's not going to really phase us. We're just going to go in and give 110% and do what we can do.
And Bria, you're from Ohio, and Amy, you're from California.
Yeah.
So how has coming from California, this is your second year, you're about a year and a half into your track career in college. How has the move from California to Indiana, the Midwest, how has that affected you personally and you as a runner?
Well, as a runner, definitely I didn't have indoor season, so last year was my first year even on an indoor track. I've never really had to been running in the snow or have to run inside because it's so cold outside. So that's definitely affected me as a runner. But personally, I think it's really made me closer to my team and closer to my friends here because I really don't have a family I can go to if things get rough, or like my track team has really become my family because my parents can't really come to the meet, so they're the ones cheering for me, they're the ones seeing me there. So I think that's been really cool to like really gain these really tight friendships with my team.
And Bria, just any difference in Columbus, Ohio and Indianapolis, Indiana?
No, not much different. Still kind of the same, but I didn't do indoor track in high school, so that was a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But like Amy said, it's still a family for me too. My track team's my second family. My parents luckily get to come to some of the meets, but they're kind of Amy's parents now too, so.
What's your guys' next meet on the schedule?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame?
Mayo, yep. It's an invitation-only meet, so.
Excellent. And then in the future, what do you guys see yourselves doing, running or otherwise? Amy?
Definitely keep running throughout college, and obviously running will always be a passion of mine, but I am a business major, so I really like the fashion industry or maybe even the sports industry, so do something along the lines of either of those. I really don't know. My future is still up in the air.
And I'm as well a business major, and then I'm also pre-law, so hopefully I want to go to law school and then maybe work in like somewhere like DC or NCAA downtown in Indianapolis. Sounds really cool because I love sports, and like she said, I want to continue running track throughout college and see where it takes us.
Okay, neat. So getting back to track really quickly, going back to high school and in your first year and a half here, what have been the main track accomplishments of your guys' careers, and maybe something that you overcame to get to where you are today, Bria?
I would say the transition with college from high school was kind of hard for me. I was used to being, you're the best in high school. I went to states every year in high school, and then coming to college, it was like, a big kind of eye-opener. You're not the best. Everyone's the best. Everyone's good. So it's kind of like it drives your competitiveness even more. Like it makes me want to work even harder. So I definitely think that. And what was the rest of the question?
Just if you've overcome anything or accomplishments that you might have had from high school or here.
Right, and then in high school I had never gotten hurt, and then my freshman year I got hurt, and it was kind of hard to overcome, but with the trainers here, they worked really well with me, and I finally got over my knee injury, so that definitely was something I had to overcome.
Well, definitely for me, the 400 hurdles wasn't an event in high school, so that was definitely a big transition, and I really liked that. It was exciting to kind of have my own new event that I really enjoyed doing, and I think the main obstacle was definitely just getting used to indoor track, because indoor track is so different, and having to run inside and not being able to go outside every day, that was definitely a lot harder. And just working out all year long, like, you really do have to have a passion for this sport, because in high school it's just like a couple months of your life, but in college it really is a year-long sport.
Amy, does your family ever get to make it out here to see you run?
No, not yet. Hopefully one day.
Yeah. And so looking ahead, a couple months down the road, how do you guys see your outdoor seasons going? I know the outdoor track season's a little more intense, a lot more to it. So how do you guys see that going? What are your prospects going into that?
I think they'll go really well because we've had a really strong winter so far. And I really like outdoor also because we have a home meet, so you guys can come support us. And with outdoor, we don't have to travel as far. There's a lot of really, we're lucky to be in an area where there's a lot of good tracks around us. So it's easier for people to come out and support us, which definitely makes it more exciting.
Yeah, kind of what Amy said. I forget what the question.
No, I mean, just how you see going into outdoor season. Are you, what are you trying to accomplish in the outdoor season? What do you personally want to achieve going into it?
Right. Well, indoor season, we've definitely been breaking lots of records and stuff, so I want to continue that with outdoor season. I really want, a goal of mine is to break the heptathlon record, so I'm hoping to do that this year. So
That's in reach for you, Bria?
yes.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it was nice having you guys on today. That's about all the time we have. So thank you, Bria and Amy, for joining me, and good luck with the rest of your season. For Scott Schmelzer and the Bulldog Blitz, until next time, Butler.